Steady now.
Used as an early showcase for the PlayStation 2's capabilities in 1999, Dark Cloud would finally grace consoles in 2001, and was notable for being long-running developer Level 5's first game. This action RPG encompasses a lot of what makes this developer's output great, including a distinctive charm, engaging mechanics, and creativity in spades. Attempting to meld dungeon crawling with world building, it's an ambitious outing that manages to work for the most part. While a few flaws and issues with repetition sour aspects of the game, the adventure remains compelling throughout and proves a worthy addition to the then burgeoning PS2 library. Hundreds of years ago, an evil creature known as the Dark Genie would terrorize the world and leave villages wrecked and people missing, before being sealed away, allowing peace to reign once more. Sadly, a colonel of the Eastern Army revives the monster and begins rampaging across the world, leaving destruction in its wake. Tone, the hero of the piece, survives but witnesses his entire town being decimated. Or so it seems. An ancient fairy bestows upon Tone the Atlamilia, a powerful stone which restores the pieces of the land that was safely sealed but scattered due to the destructive event. It's up to the beanie-wearing hero to recover these pieces, purify the evil across the lands, and confront the Dark Genie. It's a satisfying yarn, as although translation issues confuse some lines, the humour and tone carry the experience greatly. As you rebuild each civilization, backstories and culture entice you to explore and talk with the NPCs, and some darker moments definitely add tension to the thread. Dark Cloud attempts to mix three key elements, with everything tied together by the Atlamilia. As you travel between each barren district, you enter the area's dungeon to find pieces of the town, which when placed together will restore part of the diorama plan. You'll find buildings, people, and objects of importance in these spheres, and each level of the dungeon has a preset amount. While some are more like scenery, such as roads and windmills, a lot are key to progressing further, including holding key items and characters to progress. Each hub includes an additional playable character, with their own abilities which are necessary for traversing some dungeons, such as Xiao Yu's jumping. The story takes around 35 hours to beat, with additional weapons and upgrading likely adding time onto that, as well as a bonus dungeon for Western versions, with 100 floors for dedicated players to tackle post-game. Level 5 would opt for an action focus with their first effort, and combat works well for the most part. Exploring the dungeon feels natural to control, locking onto foes is a breeze, and utilising the first-person perspective helps for scouting ahead. Each character wields a unique weapon type, with stat growth situated here rather than with traditional levelling. Weapons earn points with each kill, and getting enough allows you to upgrade it to improve the weapon's health. Attachments then let you upgrade stats, from damage and MP to how much damage it does to a specific enemy type, and upgrading boons these stats further. The caveat is that weapons slowly degrade with use, and repair powder must be used to ensure it doesn't break. Starter weapons will reset, while acquired armaments will disappear forever. It's risky, but proves satisfying to grow your weaponry. Combat is pretty fun on the whole, though a lack of enemy types and the sheer frequency of combat can cause repetition issues later on. Perhaps the most interesting addition to Dark Cloud is its world building. While each area has preset buildings to place, there's a relative freedom to how you redesign these once great towns. The ancillary parts of each district, such as roads and rivers, let you experiment with layouts. For those looking to dig deeper, talking to NPCs will reveal special requests they have when you rebuild. For example, the Macho Brothers will request being placed somewhere they can train themselves, and as such, placing their home near the Divine Beast Cave, Nolan Village's dungeon, will satisfy their request. Despite the limitations of console controllers for this kind of game, Level 5 would tailor the diorama system to be simple yet satisfying, and some will find themselves getting easily distracted by these town requests, building and exploring. Sadly, the least gratifying aspect of Dark Cloud comes from the dungeon crawling. Utilising procedurally generated layouts, a lot of these feel indistinct from one another, and it leads to a lot of deja vu. Some dungeons will feature a myriad of chests to find, special doors which need keys to open, and even a back area, where a unique item will allow you to explore a tougher variant of the floor. But a lot of the time, these blend in together. While exiting lets you at least take a break between each floor, you'll find later dungeons suffer the same issue and make things feel a bit like a chore compared to the rest of the experience. It doesn't help that Dark Cloud's presentation is mixed in quality. There are some neat visual tricks for the time, including colourful and crisp character models which bring NPCs to life and monsters a charming edge, and some neat motion blur which helps hide some of the game's deficiencies. Sadly, the environments look bland and poorly assembled, with issues like clipping and texture breaks proving noticeable, and the lack of pizzazz to backgrounds not helping the dungeon crawling aspect. It runs rather nicely, however, and the charm usually overrides these problems. The audio is decent, with a soundtrack that has a few notable tracks, including a darkly delightful final dungeon theme, but some of the track loops feel too short, and though it dynamically changes between ambient and combat themes, it can grow stale. But combat hits hard, monster cries feel well done, and cheery hub music proves a highlight of the game. Dark Cloud still proves an ambitious and enjoyable action RPG, and while its melting pot of ideas didn't quite mesh completely, the experience still keeps you glued to the screen. The building aspect is a treat, combat is mostly fun, and the focus on weapon growth over body stats is unique. Only the dungeon crawling lets the game down, feeling like a bit of a trudge compared to the rest of the experience. But most will likely be able to stomach it, as the rest of the experience holds up strongly. Fans of the genre looking for something more experimental should be satisfied with this one, making Level 5's debut one worth adding to your collection.